guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. It's been a really rainy, kind of overcast week, but temperatures in the low 40s. It's been so nice. It makes me really want to get out, and I actually got the auger out yesterday.
Did it work?
No. I tried to dig a hole because I found some bulbs in the barn that I had forgotten about clearly. And I thought, well, this type, they're Scillas, they need to only go 4 inches down. So if I could just get a little of the way down, maybe not even 4 inches, maybe part of the way, and then I could put mulch on top of them. But I got down about this far and the ground is frozen. But it is starting to get really super duper muddy out there though with our warm temps.
I've been surprised how soft our lane is.
Yeah,
like
it
just
feels
walking on our
like a
lane.
mattress.
Yeah,
You're walking on a soft, spongy
we don't
mattress.
usually deal with that because we're usually fairly dry.
Right. The ground's usually pretty hard, but it's been really nice. Also, if you hear loud beeping or a loud motor sound, Paul is working on taking down Christmas lights today, and he has the lift here.
The big lift.
And it's pretty loud. He actually just drove by, and we were like, is he stopping here at the barn to take barn lights down, or is he going to keep going? He kept going. So anyway, if you hear noise, that's what it's from. We do have winners for the giveaway from last week, which we will announce at the end of this video. Today's video is sponsored by Gardener Supply Company. I will talk about that in a second. I just wanted to jump right into the first video from this last week, which was making a fairy garden on a wreath. That was an interesting project because I sort of had a semi-vision of what it could be, but I didn't even decide that I wanted to put a house on the wreath until right before I got started, and I thought, I think that would make it more magical.
When you showed me a wreath, and I think you just kind of like held up some stuff to it, like, I could do, there's an idea I could do, and it ended up so much more elaborate than what I thought it was going to.
Well, me too. Yeah, I thought, I'll just do a real simple example of what can be done on a wreath for fairy gardens. And you can Google fairy garden wreaths, and there are lots of really fun examples. I just never done it before. I've always done fairy gardens in containers or out in the landscape. So that was a really fun kind of contained, even more contained version of it. I actually took it down to the garden center. I took it down there the next day because I wanted to get pictures of it on their cedar shake. They have a wall in front of their potting shed that cedar shakes, kind of like the front of our greenhouse, but they've treated theirs with something like they stained it at some point, and so they're more dark brown than ours. Ours are kind of blonde. And I thought, well, maybe it'd be pretty to have that contrast with the wreath, have darker shakes behind it, and maybe I could take some better pictures. They weren't that great. But it ended up staying down there.
I always tell you that you should take your fairy gardens down there because your personality is just to kind of like move on to the next project. But I feel like that's where stuff like that almost kind of like belongs because it's like it's coming from your background at the garden center of like doing interesting things that kind of invoke or not invoke, but like inspire. Give people ideas and just spark something in people. And I feel like fairy gardens are kind of one of those things where it's like, that's neat. I could do this or that.
Right. So I actually went down to the garden center the day before because I wanted to look at their fairy garden stuff, which they have like
Nothing
right now. They're waiting on orders. So they may have arrived by now, but I ended up coming back home and going through all of my old pieces. So everything I used on the wreath were all things that I already had on hand. And then 5 glue sticks. Took 5. It's quite a lot of hot glue. But Zusi Makes It said, so cute. Love all the detail and so good you found that floral tape. Oh yeah, the wires disappeared. I was doubting the orange roof. How could I? And then you showed it and it was just perfect. I in those projects, I doubt myself sometimes along the way too, especially if it's a project that I haven't done fairy gardens in a while. Though I kind of go in feeling like, this might not turn out, but I can always rip it off. It's not that big of a deal. This is a small project. It's not like, paying somebody to come here and install a huge, walkway or something.
Yeah.
And then being like, we got to take that out.
Right.
Different scale.
The stakes are low.
Yeah. And the brown floral tape, I didn't think about that until I had actually seen it before I started the project because it's in my moss drawer here in this little wheelie, I don't know, what do we call this? It's like a tool chest.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of drawers on my side, and I have one drawer that's got moss in it, and it had a roll of green and brown floral tape. I thought, that might work. And that way I don't have to moss the whole thing. I was happy that did well. Haley said, are those fabric scissors you're using to cut plastic? I don't think so. I bought them at the fabric store. They're Fiskars. I got some hot glue on them right now. I got them in a 2-pack at like the front counter. They're nice and sharp, but I don't know that they're technically fabric scissors. I don't know what makes fabric scissors.
Those to me are just like the classic scissors that we had as a kid growing
They were
up.
like $10 for a pack of two.
Like, didn't you have orange handled ones? We did. That to
I
me,
don't-
that's just
I
what
don't
we
remember.
had.
I remember scissors being scarce.
Oh, really?
Could never find scissors when I needed scissors or Scotch tape.
Well, and it's probably weird with your mom too being left-handed, because you guys
Yeah.
probably had. Did you have left-handed scissors, or did
Yes.
your mom figure out how to do right?
Well, she's can do right, but it hurts her hand. So
Sure.
she did always have left-handed scissors, but we always had right ones as well.
Yeah.
Somewhere, but where they were, who knows. Lori said, where can we find birch? You can buy it online. If you don't have a birch tree or know somebody with a birch tree, you can buy it online. I think there's places on like Etsy.
I saw, this is slightly related. I saw, it was maybe a couple years ago, but I think it was like Pottery Barn that was selling a birch log, and it was like $150, but it was literally just a birch log, like one that you could cut out of a birch tree if you happen to have
I
one.
try to put myself in somebody who lives in the city in an
Yeah.
apartment.
Where are you going to find a birch log?
Right. Like maybe you're desperate for that birch log and
Yeah.
pay $150 for it. I don't know. I've also seen where people like get a branch, like a juniper branch, and then just tie a piece of string and
Oh,
sell
yeah.
it. You've probably
Yeah.
seen that. It might have been a joke, but it's not far from what you see
Right.
actually being sold. But yeah, you can find logs and bundles maybe of birch on Etsy. But I gather my stuff from the ground, so I'm not like peeling it off the tree. I just gather whatever has fallen, which there's usually a little bit around there. A lot less this last time than usual. Jenny said, that's adorable, so precious. Did Samantha adore it? Do you have a guess as to how much it weighs? Samantha got very excited. She did the whole when she saw it, but then she got a little less enthusiastic about it when she couldn't rip the pieces off.
Yeah.
And that was another reason why I ended up down at the garden center, because I thought, well, we're just not quite there yet with Samantha. And Benjamin's like, oh, that's cool, but I'm gonna go play with my Legos
Yeah,
now, so yeah, Samantha's at that, like, I want to tear it apart and play with all those pieces, which I do let her play with a lot of my older fairy garden pieces that I've used. I have different bins, like themed fairy garden pieces, like per holiday, and then I have a whole bin of pieces I've already used, which sometimes you'll, like today, use them again, or not today, but that day. You'll find little fence sections or stepping stones, and they're always really helpful, or I don't know. They're easy to integrate into any kind of fairy garden plan. So anyway, I don't know how much it weighed. Not that much, just a few pounds.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
because
wasn't that
mostly it was moss and the grapevine wreath.
And 5 sticks of glue.
And 5 sticks of glue, which don't weigh a lot either. So it didn't weigh very much at all. Valerie said, how do you not get hot glue all over your gorgeous table? And if you get glue everywhere, how do you clean it off? You just pop it off with your scissors. Just take your tip of your scissors and just pops right off. I got a little bit on here. In fact, the wreath was glued to the table when I tried to pick it up the first time. But yeah, I mean.
Did we ever pay Ken for this table? The topper?
Did we pay you, Ken, for this table?
I just thought about that just now. I don't remember him ever, like, telling us how much we owe. He was the one that made it.
Yeah, this one, and we've got a white one that we can put over the top of this. We might owe Ken some money.
From
we're
like
not-
2 years ago.
Yeah, dang. I can't remember that far back. I know we talked about it,
Yeah.
and I don't know if we ever settled up.
Oh, yeah, they paid me a long time ago. Better text Aaron and let him know. Of course, I could let him pay me twice. Or I could get him to pay me thrice.
Dear Aaron and Laura, my friends, I thought that you never paid because you were unhappy with my work, and I didn't bring it up because I couldn't bear the shame of having failed you. Now I see that your busy lives caused you to overlook this small craftsman, and I'm overjoyed at discovering you were pleased after all. There is no need to pay me now. For one thing, I already sold Grandmother's ring to pay off the materials, but just knowing that my work was appreciated is more than enough reward for me. Yours with affection, Ken.
Oh, how embarrassing. Lisa said, can this be made with air ferns instead? Yes, it could be made with air ferns. I've got one. I've got a Xerographica right back here that just chills on the plant shelf. But I didn't have enough of them, and there isn't any, like the garden center's out of air plants at the moment. And January is a weird time. It's a weird time to source stuff in the plant world. So anyway, that would be a really handy option because you could attach containers or whatever you want to put your air plant on, and then you could just set them in there and then take them off when they need to be watered instead of having to water the plants in the wreath the way it is now. There's a lot of different ways you could go with that.
You know, it's interesting. You say it's a weird time. However, there's garden shows that are going on, you know, January and February. Like right now, Mance is going on.
Yeah.
What is that? Mid-Atlantic trade
I don't know.
show.
Yeah.
That
that's
doesn't
an
spell
industry-
Mance. There's
that's
an N
an
in there somewhere.
Industry show, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
But
But,
there's
the point is that they have, like, you go there and they have, like, Proven Winners, I'm sure, is there and has all their plants. Like, they're from somewhere. Like, they're shipping them in or
but
something.
It's hard for like people who aren't the company.
Industry, yeah.
And they're probably, and I don't know how it works, but I'm guessing they don't have like a greenhouse full of them ready.
Yeah.
Maybe they just like have a special group of things
Sure.
that they have ready for shows. I don't know how that works. But if you're getting like 10 ready for a show, you may as well, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know how it works. It's magic. All right, guys. So today's video is sponsored by Gardener Supply Company, and it's seed starting season. I have so many things from Gardener Supply that I've kind of amassed through the years that have helped me out so much with my seed starting setup. So first of all, grow lights. We have a whole bunch of different types of grow lights here in the studio. We've done a tour before. Maybe we can link that below if you want to check out what we have in here. Each one of them has like something specific that's nice about it, depending on what's important to you. But what I wanted to show you, I've got them sitting next to me, are the seed trays that I use the most. This is my most used seed tray. In fact, you can tell it is. It's got like hard water spots on it. I have a stack of these ready to go for more seed starting this year. This is the Growies Seed Starter Kit. It's a self-watering reservoir, 24 cell. I like the cell size here because it eliminates the need to pot up a lot of my seedlings. If you start them in smaller cells, sometimes you have to bump them up into larger pots before you put them outside, and it's just that whole process adds an extra step. So you've got the larger cells, you've got the platform in here in the water reservoir with a capillary mat, so it delivers water to the bottom, and the soil sucks up the water, and then you've got your humidity dome. I don't know how many of these I have, but a lot. They fit on my grow light shelves beautifully. And then I've got root trainers right here, which you can get, I think, just the pots, or you can get them in a kit where they actually come with a base and a dome like this. The beauty of these is that they're really deep, so those things that like deep-rooted things, sweet peas are one, verbascum, I grew verbascum in these last year, so they don't like root disturbance. Anything that doesn't like root disturbance are great for this because, check it, when you're ready to pop your seedlings out, you just open this up, gently lift it out and plant it out in the garden. There's like no disturbance to your roots at all. The last tray I have, I've actually never shown in a video because I was just trying them out. I grew 2 trays in this paper pot starter set right here. I grew a tray of amaranth and a tray of zinnias, and they did beautifully. There's 50 cells in this, and you would think with these being paper, I was skeptical. I thought, oh, those are gonna fall apart. It's gonna be a mess. They didn't. I probably wouldn't use this for long haul seeds like Lysianthus that stay in their trays for months. I mean, you know, you start them beginning of January and don't plant them until like the end of May. But for most of my seed starting that's going on in March, these are perfect. So this is the starter set, but hold on. Take the clips off. Once you have the tray and the clips, all you need to get are the paper inserts right here. So you don't have to, like, you know, if you've got plastic stuff, you can wash it and all of that, but this is so nice. You
Yeah.
don't have to wash anything but the tray, and you just get these little paper inserts and you're good to go. And you guys, Gardener Supply is doing 15% off orders of $125 or more. The code is ANSWER15, and that sale runs to the end of the month. Or that code lasts until the end of the month. So thank you, Gardener Supply, for sponsoring today's video. Next video is a chicken coop tour and thoughts on raising chickens. I just thought it was kind of timely because we've seen a lot of comments about chickens.
Prices.
Yeah, egg prices are really crazy high, but I kind of noticed the question coming up more during the winter time than any other time because I think most people are in like planning mode and maybe they're thinking of adding chickens and they want to see how it's working for other people and what other people's setups look like. I remember that phase. I was like, okay, well, what kind of roost should I have? What's the best kind of setup? And I think you just kind of have to try some things and land.
Feels daunting to me to get into it. There's so many questions that you kind of
and
need
there's
answers.
so many opinions. Like,
yeah, right.
every subject, there's some polarizing opinions. I do not like that. We strive to not be polarizing in any kind of way. Like if somebody's polarizing, I'm like immediately move on. So I think that there's different ways that people like to do things and things that work better for other people than maybe it would work for you or vice versa. And I think you just have to kind of try some things out and see what you land on. Like we've tried out several different kinds of bedding. I like pine shavings. It works in our climate. It works for our chickens, you know.
I think what you dislike is, and me too, is that there's like an arrogance that goes along with being dogmatic about like, this is the way that it has to be done. Your chickens will die if you don't do it this way, or, you know, or whatever. And that's off-putting.
Yeah. But you can find that in any
spectrum,
subject.
arena of life.
Yeah. Anyway, no drama.
Yeah.
No drama on our channel. Absolutely not. Anyway, it was kind of a weird day though. It was like raining on and off. We actually had to stop for a little while. We came in here and kind of regrouped because it was pouring there for a minute. And then it lightened up enough to where we thought, well, we can go out and do this. It looks much prettier in the summertime when we have flowers around it. But either way, the inside of the chicken coop looks pretty much the same all the time. Tana says, where do you buy your pullets from? I live in Bend and like you do not have the time to do chicks. I ordered mine from McMurray. And then I did explain in this video my first kind of experience. I was super discouraged in the beginning because I got 10 pullets. They all arrived really healthy and everything, and they grew on for a while. And then I started to systematically lose them, like one at a time. They would lose mobility.
You were so distressed when that was happening.
Like, yeah.
You were like pulling out your hair. Like,
I
what
know.
am I doing wrong?
Like I had some who in my mind are chicken experts and bird experts. Like one gal has tons of different birds. I mean, like I don't even know how many birds she has right now.
All the birds. She has all
anyway,
the birds.
She has years and years of experience, and I had her come and look because she's dealt with all kinds of different things. You know, it just happens when you have animals. You know, you're not going to 100% of the time have everything go perfectly. I wish that was the case, but you know, like you have a dog, you have to take it to the vet every once in a while. Anyway, we could not figure out what was going on. We thought at first it was, is it called Marek's disease? One of the symptoms is losing mobility in the legs, but oftentimes they say that's accompanied by, and I don't know a lot about it, but like graying of the eyes. A lot of times if they're sick, they'll have like a pale looking comb. Everything else about the chickens looked beautiful. Everything was perfect. They just would lose mobility in their legs. Anyway, so we were down to one, Bev, who still is with us. And I don't know, they were vaccinated when I got them. I ordered them from McMurray. All of that said, did I say that already? Where I ordered them from?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
They came from McMurray.
Yeah, you did at the beginning.
Yeah, and they were vaccinated from Marek's. You can choose to have them vaccinated or not. And I didn't really know what I was doing, so I thought, well, let's make sure that we got our ducks in a row here.
Did you get your chickens in a row?
yeah. Anyway, what a nerd. Anyway, I thought I had everything set up, but you know, it was just a little bit of a learning experience. The other three, the copper Marans that I have, I think that's how you say it, Maran, those came from a friend who had grown them all the way up to adult stage. And I think that that's what I'm going to do from this point on. It was so much easier. I mean, easier than pullets, way easier than chicks. They weren't as socialized because my friends got a ton of animals, and so they weren't like hand fed like my others. Like Bev, super comfortable around me. She'll jump up in my lap if I have mealworms. But the others, they're a lot more comfortable with me now. They'll come right up to my legs, but I would never dare try to pick them up and freak them out, because if I even bend down, they're kind of like, ooh, I don't know, you know. So I'd give them their space, but that's the only downside. If I had more time to spend in there with them, they'd probably tame up really fast.
I didn't include this question, but I saw somebody ask, do you think Bev killed the other chickens?
Yes, Bev the killer chicken.
Yeah, which is hilarious. I was just thinking in my mind, like at night, Bev, you know, scheming about killing
this
all
one's
the...
next.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the only one here.
Take him out at the knees.
Yeah. Karen said, have you ever considered using a treadle type feeder? It got rid of our rat/mice problem and has been amazing. We also have an occasional problem with the automatic door, and it's sometimes as easy as cleaning off the top where the light sensor is, as it can be dusty from the chickens. Definitely we'll check that out on the automatic door. I know Paul's messed with it quite a lot.
We don't have a light sensor, do we?
No.
Oh, yeah, we do, because it's a dawn
like
dusk.
dawn to dusk. Yeah, which is like ideal. But honestly, when you have your run enclosed, it's not as necessary for our setup as I thought it might be. And I also thought having that door, the main door shut, because I didn't know we were going to do plexi. That was an afterthought. And I thought, well, in the wintertime, even though they are penned in and safe from predators, they're still going to get a huge draft. And you don't want a drafty coop if we leave that main door open and there's no protection from the wind. So, I mean, that automatic door did work out in our favor for that for a little while. But now that we just keep the door open because the whole run is enclosed, they're not getting big drafts of wind. that door is kind of unnecessary at this point.
Yeah.
It's just merely decorative-ish. And a treadle type feeder, yes, we should probably switch to that. I don't know. We just kind of went with the like standard whatever and then just kind of have kept going, but that's a thought.
Probably when the next time you need a feeder, maybe you'll get that one.
Right. Jen said, does Laura have all hens and no rooster? Yes. So it is not necessary to have a rooster then? No. Or is for certain breeds only? It's just not necessary to have a rooster if you don't want to have chicks. I mean, we have our hens for eggs. We do have neighbors with roosters. I hear them. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind the sound of roosters at all. I was really concerned about it in our last house, our townhouse.
We were so close to neighbors, though.
Yeah. Your parents.
Yeah.
His parents were one of our neighbors, and I was so stressed out because one of my chickens, when she would lay an egg, it was, I mean, if you've ever been around hens laying an egg, and you can't blame them, I mean, just the ruckus.
Sounds like labor every day.
Oh my goodness. And so I was super stressed, but your mom grew up on a farm and she was like, oh, I love the sound, you know, she's trying to reassure me, but I was still like stressed that I was going to be upsetting neighbors with all of the noise I was making. But we don't find it necessary to have a rooster. I grew up with roosters and they were mean.
Yeah.
We had to carry I remember we had a little rake, like a little kid's rake that we'd carry with us and just like carry in front of our feet as we walked so that we could kind of shove them out of the way. We never hit them with the rake, but you'd kind of use it like your foot. When you're trying to get your cat out of the way, you kind of, you know, put your foot under their tummy and kind of just like nudge them out of your path. Anyway, it was kind of the same deal, but yeah, they could be mean. Liska said, can you share how long a bag of the pellets lasts? Oh, I have no idea. I've never tracked that because it would be really nice to know like cost because a lot of the time, you know, if you're setting up for chickens and stuff, you don't really think of, if you're doing it for more reasons than just the price of eggs at the moment, then it's probably worth it. If you're like, you know what, I'd like to raise these. I'd like my kids to have experience with it. I would like fresh eggs that I've grown and I know what they've been eating. There's a lot of good reasons. Or a lot of people do meat birds. We don't. Mine are pets. But there's nothing wrong with, you know, if you're growing them for your own meat, that's a thing. Anyway, but oftentimes the setup cost, it doesn't pan out. You know, unless you eat tons and tons and tons of eggs, which we do now. You know, we usually have hot breakfast almost every single day of the week. And then we usually have breakfast at least one night of the week.
Right.
We're having breakfast tomorrow night, actually. Yeah. I don't know how long the bag of pellets lasts. I should probably take a look at that. If you're buying plexiglass for the run, just like all cost considerations need to go straight out the window. Anisha said, have you ever used chicken poop as fertilizer in the garden? I hear it's great fertilizer for plants. It is, and it's like the huge base of Espoma's fertilizer.
That's what we use, just not our chicken
poop.
Poop.
It's super hot though in the beginning, so you have to age it. There's got to be a process. It's got to be mixed, you know, aged and or mixed with things, so it kind of mellows it out a little bit. So yeah, we do use it just in the form of Espoma fertilizers. Yeah. John and Whitney said, can someone refresh my memory on which purple petunia those are around the coop? Supertunia Bordeaux.
That was a great year.
That was a great year. Those are so pretty. Yasuna said, have you considered raising quail? I haven't. We have quail that come through our property all the time, and they're so pretty, but I haven't thought about actually raising them. We don't eat quail eggs, and they're such tiny little eggs.
And the police show up every time we do anything with quail.
Let's not talk about that, Aaron. Miriam said, do you talk about deworming? I did not in this video. And there are a lot of like rumors that go around saying, well, feed your pumpkins and squash to your chickens. It's a natural dewormer. And it might, like the pumpkin and squash seeds might help. I don't think that there's been a ton of research about that, so you can't say definitively that that's what's helping. Once your chickens are fully mature, like they've grown up and they're mature birds, they're pretty resistant to things like that. But if you suspect that your flock, I've never dewormed mine, if you suspect that yours have worms, don't just willy-nilly treat them either. It's best to take like some of their poop to your vet, and they can do a fecal float. I worked at a vet clinic for 5.5 years, so they can do a fecal float and they can tell you if your birds have parasites and what kind they have, because there are different things that treat different things. Like if it's tapeworms, it's one type of med. If it's a roundworm, it's a different type. So you'd want to make sure of what you're dealing with and not just give your birds meds for no reason, or that it's not for no reason, but you know, for something that's not going to give them a med for something that they don't actually have. So it's pretty easy and it's an inexpensive test. And usually you can tell if there's a health issue with your birds. You know, if their combs are really pale and dry, I mean, it could be worms. It might be something different. If, you know, their poop's really runny, that kind of thing. If something isn't normal, you know, usually I'll give it a couple of days and like kind of maybe adjust feed a little bit. Maybe we don't do as many greens or treats or things like that and just give them like a solid diet for a little while and most things improve. But if it carries on, you do want to get something like that checked out. You don't want to let a problem like that go too long. And I don't think pumpkins and squash are a bad idea. I mean, definitely, it could be maybe a good preventative. Maybe it has enough property in it that it's helpful, and it's a good snack for your birds anyway. Next video is helping reset the garden store for spring. That was a fun day. It was a whole day spent down at Andrews at my parents' garden center, just helping kind of move things around a little bit. They had just received 5 pallets full of glazed pottery, which were just kind of scattered all around the back room. And that was fun. It's always fun when you get some really fun colors to work with. So we just kind of made our way from the front of the store into the back. We didn't finish or anything, but I think we made some really good progress. Greg said, what brand are the pots? I have no idea. I have no idea. I would have to ask. I didn't even think to look, but I thought they were really good prices. Sometimes we've had years down there where I thought, oh man, we're never going to be able to make margin on this one. There's no way. These I thought were really, really good pricing. Had really good pricing. Amy said, is it too early to pull out my bunnies? No, it's never too early. I still have a bunny pillow out, which I've had out for maybe 2 years now. I just like bunnies. I think they're so sweet. How far in advance does your mom order for a season? 6 months or a year? Both. Like all of the roses for this year were ordered last June. So that's always ordered because you're receiving your bare root roses in like February, March. So you have to put your order in. Technically, that's not a full year in advance, but you don't see them out, for sale in the garden center for a lot longer than that. Christmas stuff is always ordered, usually about a year in advance. They're ordering everything right now for next year. So retail is a weird thing. And I don't know. I think it's easy in retail to get burned out on certain seasons because you're inundated with it so much.
You're just celebrating things in the weird times because celebrating. You're like
getting excited about it.
Yeah, you're getting excited about things at the wrong times.
You're getting excited about Christmas stuff right after Halloween because that's when you're starting. We always waited until we try to wait until after Halloween. I think this year we started the week of Halloween because I went and helped a little bit. But we tried always to wait after because you could see Christmas stuff in September up in like Joann's. They have stuff out so early. And that I remember it by the time Christmas actually arrived, I'm like, oh, I'm so done with this. Yeah. And I still am like that a little bit, but not as much. Not now that we have kids, like everything has more magic. Holidays do. So I kind of embrace it a little bit more. Julian said, can you do a video talking about all of the different Bonide products? Oh boy, that would be a long video. Do you know how many products they have?
Oh, a lot.
I don't know if they're still a partner, but you seem to use their products pretty exclusively. I'm battling fungus gnats inside, but also had a huge problem with squash bugs and aphids outside last year. I need to get a handle on the gnats inside. Okay, so gnats inside, definitely put out yellow sticky traps. And then, a lot of people say put sand on top of the soil because they don't like to walk through it. And they breed, or like their eggs are underneath the soil surface. So you want to let your stuff dry out if you can. In fact, I lost some seedlings last year because I had fungus gnats in here for the first time ever. And I just thought, I've got to let stuff dry out. Like, I'm going to keep having a problem unless I can let the sog kind of dry out. So I forfeited or sacrificed some seedlings to try to eradicate the problem. But the sticky traps help, letting stuff dry out, sand on the top of the soil surface. Some people have used the systemic houseplant control. It's like acephate. It's stinky and it's potent, and I would be careful with that one. But that's what a lot of people do in terms of Bonide stuff. The squash bugs, what we used this last year was Captain Jack's Dead Bug, which is spinosad based, and it's an organic spray. It doesn't have like as long of a residual as some of the other synthetics, but we used it like once a week for a while there. I handpicked eggs. I think I got them like right when I saw I was checking them every single day, and I killed maybe 4 adults I found, and then I looked at the plants were small enough. I was like, I'm looking under every single one of these leaves, and I did. I looked under every single leaf, and I found a couple of spots where there were eggs because they hatched so darn fast, and I think that kind of nipped the problem.
Well, think about how many, like hundreds or thousands maybe, that you killed.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, just it's crazy. And then we did
Right? Like there's a lot of eggs, right?
not thousands.
Oh.
I mean, there can be if you don't,
Get it
get it
handle on
right away. And then Paul was using diatomaceous earth out there too. I think it was no. Was it? Yeah, I think
he
he
was.
sprinkled it like on the top of the leaves and underneath the plants. And I think using those two things and hand picking and just being very diligent.
I wonder if diatomaceous earth is more useful to people like us in a drier climate.
Probably.
Because the
gets
rain.
wet. It kind of, it's null at that point.
Yeah.
So, and squash crops too, I had the water very, I can't think of the right word. It was very directed. So there wasn't like overhead water at all. The water was directed right at the root system. So all the ground around it stayed dry. So it was very easy to treat like that and not have to worry about, treating it every single day. Captain Jack's works really good on aphids as well. But it's not a bad idea to go through some of those products again at some point.
Yeah.
We do use a lot of Bonide. My parents carry a lot of Bonide down at the garden center, and I've used it for so many years that I'm comfortable with
They're
their
kind
stuff.
of like one of the major players
Yeah.
in that space. What I mean,
Yeah. Diana said, Andrews is a beautiful garden center. I marvel at the abundance of products, and I'm curious if such a small town, there are sufficient customers to cause much turnover of merchandise. Yes. They are the only full-scale garden center in our town.
certainly
I mean, there's box stores and stuff.
within 40 miles.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lot of towns around us.
Yeah.
So yes, our town is 12,000 people
Mm-hmm.
or around there.
Seems bigger because of the other towns so
Yeah,
close.
but there's a lot of towns that are nearby
Yeah.
that would shop here. Well, so one of the things is we live right on the border of Oregon and Idaho. Oregon does not have sales tax. Idaho does. So there's several towns in Idaho that will come to our town to shop because they don't pay sales tax.
Are you able to sell most of the items, or do you resort to end of season sales to clear out for the next season? Honestly, I don't know if I showed in this video, but there was one little cubby on the pot wall that has fall stuff. That's all the fall stuff that was left. There's usually a few items left, but not many. Nolan Gross Everything said, just curious, how long does it take you to do displays? Well, the ones we did that day, we got 3 done up front. And it was Monica and I working on those together. And then we started one in the back, but then we had to paint stuff. So I actually called it an hour before Andrews was going to close. I thought, you know what, we could keep going, but we'll just make a mess of another area. I don't have enough time to complete one. But it depends. It depends on how intense you want to get with the display. In fact, the white display that we did up front, I was thinking, because I used a moss, they have rolls of moss that are like table runners. They're so pretty. I thought I should get some trellises from outside and attach the moss runner and then hang them from the ceiling. So we've got moss things. And then Monica looked at me like,
What?
so I thought, I'll skip that for today. We'll just use the birch branches. Jeanette said, how do you prop each pot on top of each other? What's inside of them? Old nursery containers. We use a lot of 1, 2, 3, and 5 gallon size containers just turned upside down, and that raises pots up. So we hang on to any of them that are like the higher quality, thicker plastic that won't buckle. There are some really flimsy pots that you can't use for that. Julie said, love your parents' business. You gals are really talented. Thank you. Why doesn't your mom carry any of Jack Barnwell's aquapots? I hear he's introducing a new line, including urns. He is. In fact, they FaceTime me, Jack and Marshall, when they were down. They showed me the new inserts that are coming out in the urns months ago. I can't remember when that was. Anyway, I got to take a look at them, and I'm excited to try those out. Also excited that he's come up with an insert that you can put inside pots you already have. I think that's awesome. Because, a lot of the ceramic, I don't do a lot of ceramic here, I do a lot of concrete. So to be able to put that self-watering in some cases where you don't want to use drip, like our front porch, it's going to be nice. And I don't know why they've carried them no, they haven't done aquapots yet, have they? Or did they?
No, I don't think they've brought any in. Part of it is because we are a small town and they can't bring in everybody's new thing that, anybody has. However, I also think there's a distributing disconnect between different east and west parts of the country. I think that there's definitely a Washington, Oregon, California, there's a lot of growers and distributors, especially in California, that bring things in. And we're part of kind of the West Coast thing, garden scene more so. Not that there isn't overlap, because there certainly is. But Proven Winners is all East Coast. I mean, like they're mostly in Michigan, and they do the Midwest and the East Coast, and they certainly distribute, you know, a lot of their stuff over here as well. But I don't think that like the what do you call that?
Distribution is as vast over here.
Yeah, it's not as
It's getting more and more.
Like I heard somebody at Espoma was saying that the Espoma, which is in New Jersey, they're in like 97% of garden centers along the East Coast. It's like you almost can't even go to a garden center where you don't find Espoma products.
Mm-hmm.
But I would guess if you go to California, that penetration rate is not the same.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get there though.
Yeah, I know
You
they
know?
are. I know that they're there, but it's not 97%.
Right.
I don't think.
We're just slower over here to
Yeah.
get things. Next video was using the microwave to press flowers and then project updates. I actually started with the project updates out in the greenhouse, showed you the chicken fodder, the trays of lettuce, the little lawn out there. Everything's doing really well, really happy with it. And then we came in here. I had bought a bucket of flowers at the grocery store. They had some really pretty bright colored things. And I wanted to, I didn't intend on drying all of mine in the microwave, but I kind of got excited about it after I tried. I've used the microwave press a couple of times, and I think I've even showed it in a video before. But I did that first tray of them, and I thought, oh, this is nice. And it's so instant gratification that I did all of mine that way. Well, not all of them, almost all of them. I did put some of them in silica gel, but just went through a few of like the key pointers on pressing flowers and then went to town with the microwave press. Kathleen said, beautiful. Do you think the color will stay? They do stay for quite a long time. In fact, even the ones you press traditionally, they will maintain color for quite a long time, unless you've got them in the direct sun somewhere. You know, that'll bleach stuff out pretty fast. ASW88 said, is the silica gel good for repeated use? Yes, it is. I use mine over and over and over again. Beth said, how do you store your dried flowers to help prevent them from breaking? So I don't know. Do I still have? Let me grab it. I have just one of those cheap plastic organizers that have drawers. So this is a drawer that I took out, and it's got like 3 drawers in my unit. And you can just lay all of your flowers in something like this, and it's easy. You know, I do use tweezers to pick everything up because if I try to use my fingers, oftentimes I will break stuff. But this is just a really easy, I think, efficient way and cheap way to store them. Leanne said, can you pour resin over those in the tray? These are gorgeous. You could, absolutely. I hadn't really thought about that with those.
Would be kind of cool.
Yeah, with those wood trays specifically, but that would be, maybe we'll do that. Rita said, near the end of the video, the string of pearls caught my eye. Could a strand of those be dried? Could you shape it in the press to make a heart or one side of a heart? I'd assume that the shaping would have to be done before drying. Anyway, just a thought. Thanks for the new drying technique. I'm guessing you're talking about this right here. This is a string of hearts. I don't know. I mean, the leaves on these, they're thick-ish. They might dry okay.
Could you put actual string of pearls in
like
silica
little
gel?
balls, I don't know. Oh, in silica gel.
Yeah. Like, would they dry that way?
Well, they would dry, but I don't know if they'd look all puckered or not.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I would imagine they would look puckered. They wouldn't dry like how they are.
But you don't know unless
But
you
I don't
try.
know for sure. Nope. Brooke said, can you use this for herbs to dry for cooking? Yep. Certainly could. Katie said, what brand of silica gel do you use? I got some at Hobby Lobby last year and was pretty bummed at the results. The crystals were really large. Only a little smaller than a BB gun bullets. And left round indentations all over the blooms. I've never seen silica gel that was that big. I ordered mine on Amazon, I think. Just like a big bag of it, and it's like sand. It's pretty darn fine.
Maybe we can put a link.
Yeah, I'll find it and put it. It's been a while since I bought it, but that's how long I've been using it. Beth said, can you dry an amaryllis flower? You could try. Again, I think it would be best in the silica gel crystals for sure. That would be an interesting project. JM said, have you ever dried flowers in your Sedona dehydrator? If you have, do you know if the color retention is better using the dehydrator versus the microflora? I've never tried my dehydrator to do that. I've never even thought about doing that. I would imagine they would, I don't know.
People are giving all sorts of like things that we should try. Like we should just make a list of all the different things to try.
Or maybe you guys try it and then let us know. And that is it for videos today. We are missing our usual Thursday video because we did take yesterday off for Benjamin's 5th birthday. It was a great day. We took him and Samantha over to Jump Time in Meridian. It's like an indoor trampoline park. We met some of Aaron's family over there, so they got to play with cousins, and we had pizza and cupcakes and did presents.
Classic birthday party.
Yeah, it was classic. And then we came home and did the presents from Aaron and I, and that was fun. And then my parents came over for dinner, and we're doing another dinner on Saturday, kind of for both Samantha and Benjamin. Samantha's so young that we can still kind of get away with sandwiching hers. It's so hard to have birthdays 6 days apart from one another.
Yeah.
And we will make sure, especially once she's older, that they have very distinct days. And we'll do presents and cupcakes and stuff for her next week. But she's not really at an age where she has to have a bunch of friends over.
She doesn't know the difference.
No, she doesn't. She was just equally excited about Benjamin's presents. She was like getting in there and wanting them to hand him things.
Right.
And she loved all the balloons. I went and got 15 balloons, trying to get those in the car. And I was thinking initially, I'm going to get 20 balloons, and I'm going to put them like on either side of, I don't know, the stairs. So when he comes down, he's excited in the morning. And I went with 15 because they had a huge line of people. So dropped it by 5.
Yeah.
But getting those into the truck was a total pain. I'd get them all like positioned, and I'd reach for the door, and then one would fish out and just be, it just took me like 8 tries to get them in there. Anyway, so that's how yesterday was, and it was just a really great day. We do have the winners for the Gorilla Cart giveaway from this last week. Mm-hmm. First one is to Deb Edwards. She won the 7 cubic foot poly dump cart. And then DJW won the 4 cubic foot. Congratulations to our winners. Have they both responded?
I don't know. I messaged both of them on YouTube, so hopefully they'll email us, and yeah.
Good. Awesome. Well, congratulations to the two of you, and thank you, Gorilla Carts, for sponsoring that giveaway, and thank you, Gardner Supply, for sponsoring today's video. We'll see you guys in the next one.